Hi everyone, welcome to the 11th episode of XCA ByteCast, a series of bite-sized tips and tricks that you can use in any of your project. In this video, we're going to learn about mocking objects in unit tests, explore the differences between mock and spy object, and how to generate them using Mockolo lib. We will also create a unit test for methods in a viewModel class and learn how to simulate the flow and verify interactions between dependencies effectively in the test cases. So let's begin by defining the overview of mock and spy. So let's begin from the mock. A mock is a type of test double that simulates the behavior of a real object. Mocks can have pre-programmed expectation and can also replace the object's behavior, returning process data or exceptions. And the usage is used to test how the system behaves when interacting with external objects, controlling the output of behavior of those objects to validate specific scenario. So let me show you an example here. So let's say if you want to mock a network request to return a fake data without making an actual network call. So as you can see in here, we have this network service protocol, and the required method is fetch data, and this is the network service mock class. So this is the stuff that we can inject in here. And if you see in the implementation here, we have this data manager class that depends on the network service protocol. So it has this load data method, which will basically invoke this fetch data. And if you see in here, we are able to stop the return type, this fetch data handler, by using this hello string as a data. And by this, we can basically simulate the behavior and provide the fake data without making an actual network call. Okay, so this is an example of a mock. And next, let's continue with the spy, the overview of a spy. So a spy is a test double that records information about how it was called, which you can then verify in the test. The main purpose of a spy is to track and inspect the interaction with a certain object, for example, method calls, parameter pass, without altering the object behaviors too much. So the usage is to verify the indirect outputs of a method by confirming if certain methods were called with the expected arguments or how many times they were called. So let me show you an example of a spy in here. So here we have these analytic protocols with the track login method, and here we basically have this login manager that depends on this analytic spy. And in here we're basically invoke this login, passing the username in here. This login manager will basically invoke this analytics track login, and here we're able to assert that this login call count from this analytics spy is invoked once, and the parameter that is passed is this parameter that we are using. Okay, so we are able to verify the behavior and the parameter as well with the spy compared to mock. Okay, so when to use spies and when to use mock. Spies is basically to verify interaction, whether a method was called, the argument that was passed, and mocks is basically to simulate the behavior, avoid calling external service or control this data. And also it can be hybrid if you want to verify interaction as well as simulate the behavior. Okay, let me show you later on how to implement this using the Mockolo lib from Uber. Okay, this is the explanation. Now let's begin by working on the starter project and generate the mock. Okay, let me close this presentation. Okay, so let me show you the starter project. You can download the starter project from the GitHub repository at the description below as well. So here we have this viewModel class. This is the SUT, the system under test, that we will implement the unit test later. So let me provide you a brief overview. If you see in here, there are 4 dependencies to the analytics manager, database manager, remote network manager, and remote config. So all of them are protocol based, if you see in here, and they are using dependency injection via initializer to be injected to this class. So basically we don't need to inject a concrete implementation. We can basically inject any type that conforms to this protocol. Okay, which we will basically create a mock later that also implements to this protocol. Okay, so that's the key for the mock in an object is using the protocols or interface. Okay, and there are two methods that we are going to test. First one is on appear. So here, based on this flag from remote config, so fetch user on view appear, then it will fetch the user from the network manager using the username from the property in here. Okay, and it will assign the user that it's fetched from the network manager to this property, this view model property of user, and then it is going to invoke the analytics manager track the fetch user, passing the fetch user. Okay, and the second method is the save button tab, and this one is basically invoke the analytics manager track save button the tab, passing the source this property from this view model, and the database manager save number is also the property from this view model class. Okay, so we will implement unit tests for both of these methods later using the mock spy. Okay, let's begin by generating the mock spy for all of these interfaces or protocols. And basically we will be using this Uber Mockolo lib to generate the Swift mock. Okay, I find this library very simple to use and also very performant, and also it supports generating the function with the async await and generic as well. The latest release is version 2.1.1 from April 23, 2024. So it's still being actively maintained, as I can see in here. Okay. So previously I was using another tools called SwiftMock Generator, but that is never being updated after 2022, and it doesn't support generating the async method for the spy and mock. So I've tested this Mockolo and it works nicely, and this is the library by Uber. It's very efficient, I think. And to install this is very simple. I prefer to install this using the second option, which is to use the homebrew. So basically just type this brew install Mockolo. Okay, I already installed this on my machine. Okay, and basically to run this we can just type Mockolo in here, the command line after install this, and there are flag and parameter that we need to pass. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the simplest one. So I'm in my project directory. As you can see in here, the project directory has these two target, if you see in here, XCApp and the XCApp test. So inside this XCApp we have this interfaces.swift file. So to generate this we can simply type Mockolo. Okay, and we can type S, which is the source of the directory that we want to find all the protocols that we want to mock. But before that, I forgot one more important thing. So the first thing that we need to add is above the protocol, we need to add this comment, add mockable. Okay, this will tell the CLI tool to generate the mock for this protocol. So we need to add this mockable for all the protocols that we want to generate the mock object. So this mockable. Okay, so after this, now we can tell this command line. So this S flag basically tells the directory that we want to find all the protocols that we want to generate the mock to, mark it with that mockable. Okay, and here, so I'm going to tell just find every Swift file in the XCApp directory that has that mockable, all the protocol. And the next one is this D flag. This is basically the directory of the file that we want to generate the mock to. So in here, I'm going to generate this in the test target. Okay, XCApp test. So XCApp test, and the name of the file is interface mocks.swift. Okay, so let me type enter. Okay, done. And if we see in here, so it generate this successfully, but I think this will fail to run because we need to add this dependencies testable import to the main app to be able to expose this interface to this test target. Okay, so to be able to add this test import when generate this file, we can basically add this I, okay, which is the testable import of the target that we want. So in this case, we want to add the XC app, right? The target. So let's try to generate this. Okay, now it's add this testable import XC app automatically. So it will run successfully. But if you see in here, by default, this Mockolo doesn't generate the argument history. So we're not able to verify the arguments that is being passed to the method call. So to do that, there are two ways. First one is manually adding this history, argument history here. And then we need to pass the method that we want to generate the argument history, that track that fetch user. Let's say that we want to generate that. Okay, then we can simply go back and run it again. And now if it has this generate this track that fetch user argument values, now we should be able to inspect the argument history that is being passed when this method is invoked. Okay, and yeah, if we want to add another method, we can add a semicolon and declare the same the second method that we want to also enable the argument history. But this is very cumbersome, right? So there is another way. We don't need to do this. So let's say we just want to enable all the argument history for all the methods. We can simply use this flag. Okay, enable args history. Okay, so if we use this enable args history flag, it will basically generate all the flag automatically for all the method. Okay, so that's the thing. And remember that you can always refer to the documentation, the GitHub repository, for other options that you can use. Okay, for example, if you don't want to use the source directory, you can also use this file list as the source, path to a file containing a list of source file paths, and the srcs flag, which is the list of source files separated by path to generate the mocks. So there are other options that you can use in here, and it's quite advanced from what I can see in here. Okay, so you can explore them on your own if you want. Okay, so now we have the mocks and spy. Now we can begin to implement the test cases. So let's go to this view model test. I already have this view model test. The system under test is this view model, and there are three methods, as you can see in here. There are three test cases for these two methods, what I mean. Okay, so we will be implementing this now. Okay, so let's begin by setting up our mock. Okay, so the setup will be called every time the unit test method runs. So in here we need to set up our mocks. The first thing that we need to do is just to declare all the mock in here. Analytics manager interface mock, and database manager interface mock, and network manager interface mock, and finally remote config, which is remote config interface mock as well. Okay, did I miss remote config? Oh, I think I forgot to add the Mockolo for the remote config, so it's not being generated. Okay, let me add this and rerun this. Okay, it should generate the remote config mock, remote config interface mock as well. Nice. Okay, so in the setup, first we need to initialize all of them. Init and database manager init, network manager init, remote config also init, and we need to initialize the SUT init. So for the username, let's pass just Alvin Losery. Analytics manager, we can pass the analytics manager mock, database manager mock, network manager mock, and remote config mock. Okay, now we have this, we can begin our test case. So let's begin from this test save button dit tab. So let's open the view model and see the implementation on what to test. Okay, so in here, if you see in this method, it just invoke the analytics manager track save button dit tab, passing the source from here. And also invoke database manager save number, passing the number from the view model as well. So we just need to verify they are being invoked correctly with the correct count as well as the correct argument. Okay, so first let's just set the source to, like, for example, XCA. Okay, this is the view model and the number is like 3x7. Sorry, this should be an integer, 387. And then in here we just invoke the method that we want to test, and then we need to add the assertion xct assert equal. So what we need to verify in here, first one, we need to verify the analytics manager track save button dit tab call count, it needs to be 1. Okay, and the second one is equal analytics manager track save button dit tab argument values. So the parameter that is being passed, it needs to be XCA. Okay, the value that we set in the view model source. And next one, we need to also add the xct assert equal to the database manager save number call count, it needs to be 1, and xct assert equal database manager save number argument values. Okay, it needs to be 367. Okay, now we can run the test for this test save button dit tab. Okay, the test run and succeeded. Okay, nice, right? So let's say there are some mistakes made by the programmer by invoking this method twice. It should be get called from this test method, right? Because the call count should only be 1, but in this case there are 2. Okay, you see 2 is not equal to 1. Okay, it means there's something wrong, so it's a regression. So here we just need to remove this, okay, and catch the regression. Okay, that is for the spy. So this is actually spy. We just need to test and verify the behavior, the call count, the argument history. The second one, we need to do a bit of mock in here, the on appear. We want to test this on appear. So this on appear. So here there's a if statement. If the remote config should fetch user on view appear is true, then it will fetch the user using the network manager fetch user, passing the username from the view model, and then it's going to assign the user to the property and also invoke this track that fetch user. So for any if statement method with the if statement, you should have 2 cases to consider, the true cases and the false cases. Okay, so let's begin from the true cases. Test on appear with remote config to fetch user is enabled. Okay, so in here it's very simple. First, let's just type the username to Alvian XCA. Okay, and remote config, we also need to control this. We need to set this to true. Okay, so this is the mock. We can control the behavior. And the next one is this network manager. We also need to mock this fetch user handler, the result value. So fetch user handler, in here we just provide a fake stub. The ID, let's say, is 1 2 3 4, and the username needs to be Alvian XCA. Okay, and then okay, we already have this control test that we can verify the flow. This flow will get invoked because this is true in here. Okay, so fetch user and appear on the remote config. Now we can invoke this await should on appear. Okay, and then let's add the assertion exit the assert equal. First one is network manager. We need to make sure this only called one. Okay, and the second one exit the assert equal network manager fetch user argument values. The first one, it needs to be this Alfian XCA. Okay, so that is for the network manager. And then we also need to add the exit assert equal suit user ID. So it should assign that in case it's a success. It should be 1 2 3 4. And for the username it should be Alfian-XCA. Okay, and next one is the analytic manager. Assert assert equal analytics manager track the fetch user call count. It should be only one. And exit assert equal analytics manager track did fetch user argument values. Okay, the argument that is being passed. So the ID it should be 1 2 3 4. And let's just copy and paste. The username should be Alfian-XCA. Okay, now we can run this test to verify. Okay, the text succeeded for this. Okay, now we need to test the false scenario in case this is false. So this is very simple. We just need to make sure the remote config .show fetch user on appear is false, and then invoke awaits SUT on appear, and then we just need to verify XCT assert equal network manager fetch user call count. It should be 0. aka never got invoked. And you can use the exit assert nil to verify that SUT with the view model user is nil. And finally, we can also verify that analytics manager dot track did fetch user call count is 0, aka never got invoked as well. Okay, now we can run this. Okay, and that's it. We have implemented the test cases using the mock and spy hybrid of them, using the Mockolo to generate the shift mock. Okay, and I hope you learn a lot of things from this XCA ByteCast 11, and thanks for supporting me so far. And like the video if like, subscribe if you haven't. And until the next video, let's keep on being a lifelong learner. Goodbye.